Good evening, I'm James for the Final Flight podcast. Welcome to the Scottish Grand National preview. We were going to do a full podcast, but it's just going to be a short video with myself. I'm just going to run through some of the races and some of my picks for the weekend ahead. It's looking like a belting weekend, so you're super excited. And obviously the Scottish Grand National on Saturday is going to be a belter, as well as the Scottish Champion Hurdle. And there's also some decent racing at Newbury, so I'll have a quick look at that at the end. But I'm going to go straight into it, short and sharp. I'm going to start with there on Friday, the 150 and the handicap hurdle. My selection in this is going to be Affordil for Harry Cobden and Paul Nicholls. I think he comes in here with a decent form from the Boodles. He was 8th in the Boodles at Cheltenham. Thought that was a decent, plenty of weight away next time out to another Nicholls runner. And it was second there, a couple of lengths behind, but I think that was also a decent run. And I think he comes in here ready to go. It's against a few older horses. I think he's got a great chance in this. And I think he'll go close off a marker 1-2-2. He can get around 7-2, which I don't think is a bad price. I'll probably have a point win on that bet on that selection there. So that's Affordil in the 115. And then moving swiftly on to the 150 again on Friday. I've got a selection in here, and I'm going to go for Young Buster. I was hoping to get an each way price, but it's currently around 3-1. He won well last time out in a maiden. Marker 113 is quite lenient, I think, for this handicap hurdle. The step up to 3 mile here is definitely going to suit. He won the last race, which was 2 mile 4 on decent ground. It's obviously decent ground tomorrow. And he won that quite well, staying on quite convincingly and quite strongly. I think this step up to 3 miles is only going to be a benefit for Young Buster. So again, 3-1. It'd be a 1 point win bet for me. I think we're going to lower the stakes. We had a bit of poor day today, but it's one of them things, these things happen. It's not mainly about, I know we put our selections out and we put points and things like that, and it is obviously betting's a massive side of it, but we do just enjoy going through the races and picking our selections. And if we pick a winner, it's great. And if we don't, you're not having your life savings on it, so you don't get that negative feeling from it. You move on and you carry on doing what you do right. But yeah, 150 in the handicap hurdle on Friday. I'm going to go for Young Buster. For Fergal O'Brien, he's hitting a bit decent form. Paddy Brennan's a decent jockey, and I think 113 is a lenient mark. So then the last race, the last selection that I'm going to go for on Friday at Ayr is in the 445, which is another handicap hurdle. So I do quite like my handicaps, and I've got one in the tracker for this, and it's a decent each way price. So you're looking at around 7-1 for this selection in this race, and I'm going to go for a horse trained by Ross O'Sullivan. Kieran Buckley's on. He takes £3 off, and it's a horse called Atacanta. I think he's got a really good chance in this. He was running a good race in a handicap last time out. It was only his second run in a handicap, and he made a pretty bad error and unseated, so that sort of did his run. But it was running quite well. He's got form in behind. He was second in behind a horse called Wawa, which I think is decent form. And it was nudged along outpace. And again, he gets a few little muddly jumps, but he stayed on strongly for second, sort of late on. And I think as long as there's no ill effects to that, the step up to 3 mile. And I know we've talked about this on previous podcasts where we quite like horses in and around these handicaps where they're sort of running in maidens and things like that. But this guy's running a 2 mile, 3 2 mile maidens, 2 mile 3 maiden. He's then jumped up to a 3 mile handicap where he comes second, and then he's running again. And he obviously unseated, but I think in this race he's got another good chance. He's on decent ground. Jockey takes 3 off, so I'm willing to give him another chance that if he can put a clean round of jumping in, I think he's definitely going to be staying on late on to win this, hopefully. And at an each way price again, 7-1. It's not a bad price. 1 point each way, you can't go wrong. With a bit of luck, he'll finish at least in the top 3, and that's a profit bet there. So Atacanta in the 445 on the Friday. So then moving on to the Saturday, which is obviously always a brilliant card at Ayr. I always like watching the Scottish Grand National. It's just one of the good races to sort of the back end of the year. So I'm really excited to watch it. But we're going to start with the 150, which is this time a handicap chase. And I've gone for a selection here. It was a decent price, anti-push. You could get as big as 8-1 in places, but we missed that. So it's one of them things. It's currently around 9-4 at the moment. And he has been backed into favourite, but I think he's a worthy favourite. He might be at a sneak 5-2, but I'd definitely be having a couple of points on City Chief. Now, obviously, he's got he dropped up Nico de Boinville, Nicky Henderson. He's got a decent record at Ayr. Obviously, the album photo colours. City Chief, I really like this horse. He looks a really tailor-made stayer, 3 miles. 3 miles plus is going to be the making of him. He was sort of being fancied for the National Chase at one point, but he obviously skipped Cheltenham. And the coming here, he was good at Wetherby, where he beat O'Toole by 5 lengths. Now, to me, that's really good form. O'Toole's a good horse, and that was off level weights. But James Bowen rode that day, but I thought that was a really taking performance. He sort of powered away from O'Toole and just kept on really well. And I think he's going again here. 3 mile. It's good soft ground, which you won't mind. He skipped Cheltenham, so he should be fresh for this. And he won on the card last season. He won on the card last season. The track suits, and he's a really good jumper. So I think if he gets himself in a rhythm, if Nico can get him in a rhythm, I think off 142, I think he'll take all the beat. I know he's 12 stone, but I think he is a level higher than most of these in here. So I think you've got the likes of Oscar Elite and Sail Away and things like that, and they're just nothing sort of jumps out. And the Temptation in Milan. I think City Chief should have the beating of these. And if he did manage, I know there'll be a few people out there on a big anti-post price, but I didn't get that. So I've gone in at around 7-2. But he's around 9-4 now, which I still think is a good price. I'd take 2 points win on that all day because I think he should win. And I think he will win pretty comfortably if he gets in a rhythm. Hopefully he will. The next one is the 225, which is the Scottish Champion Hurdle. Another great race. So in here, you've got the likes of... So let me get things up. Colonel Mustard, Nemean Lion, Soaring Glory. Anna Bonino's a previous winner, I believe. First Street, who had a load of good talk about him before, but he completely bombed out and he's not been very impressive lately. The horse I'm going to go for in this, he can sort of get around 14-1, 12-1-ish, 1 point each way. It's going to be Milkwood for Neil Mulholland. Sam Twiston Davis is on board. He obviously won this race 2 years ago off 142. And he just looks well handicapped. He's in off 138, so he's £4 lower than when he last won this a couple of years ago. He was fifth in this last year off 150. He weren't beating a mile. And he's obviously down to 138, so I think he's primed for this. He obviously pulled up last time, but I put a line through that. It was a Cheltenham Festival run. It was never really in it. It was out the back all the way, nudged along, just pulled up early on. So I completely put a line through that. It's a similar prep to when he won it. He sort of ran at Wetherby. Sorry, was it Wetherby? Yeah. He ran at Wetherby and he's run at Cheltenham. He obviously didn't perform at Cheltenham this year, but he's done the same sort of thing. And I think he's going to go really close. It's a previous winner's chance, You see often so many times where these races are won by horses that have won them previously. They come back off a lower mark and things like that. So I think at a price like 12-14-1, I think Milkwood's definitely got a real good chance. So I fancy him to go close and hopefully get in the places again for a good each-way bet. I love an each way bet than handicap. If you can get a good price on an horse like that, I think it's one to take note of. So yeah, that's the Scottish Champion Hurdle. I know I'm flying through these, but I don't think you'll want to hear my voice on my own for too long, so I'll just keep going. The Scottish Champion Novices Chase, another nice race. The 3 o'clock on Saturday. Your current favourites, Balco Coastal. That's all right, Gino, Thunder Rock in here. You've got some nice horses. Going after this unexpected party. Tell Me Something Girls in here. Rachel Blackmore comes over for the ride. She's sort of been backed in a little bit, but I'm not too sure on her myself. The selection I'm going to go for is going to be That's All Right Gino. I've sort of backed him before. We've tipped him up on Twitter before. I think he's got a good chance in this. I think he's finally going to get his chance here. The cheap pieces that were on at Cheltenham have come off. It's better ground. He's been going close in sort of decent staying races all season. He jumped left. He jumped out left at Kempton and obviously going left-handed here. I think that'll definitely suit him. He comes off the pace. I don't think air really suits. Any horse up on the pace, it doesn't really suit. So I think you've got a horse that can come off the pace, come from the back. I think That's All Right Gino. You've sort of got 3 or 4. I think you've got 4 fences in the home straight, and that doesn't really give much chance for people to get away. So I think if That's All Right Gino can be anywhere near and he has a clear rounded jumper, I think he's got a really good chance at sort of 5-1. 1 point each way. I think, again, it's a cracking each way bet to nothing. Because like I said before, there's a couple in here that have been a little bit underwhelming and they're really going to have to step back up onto form. And if you can get 3 places as well, I think that's a great bet. So That's All Right Gino in the 3 o'clock, the Champion Novices Chase. So the last race that I'm going to do for air is obviously the big one. It's the Scottish Grand National at 3:35. And I've got a pretty strong opinion on this race. I've got 2. I've got my strong opinion, and I've got a little bit of a fun bet who I think might just re-spark himself and run close. But the main selection that I'm going to go for is the Lucinda Trained Your Own Story. Now, it was around 10 to 1. You can still get around 8 to 1. I think it's 8 to 1 readily available everywhere. But I think this guy, this lad's got a right chance. Derek Fox is going to go very close to to a national double here with obviously the English national on Correct Rambler, and I think he's going to get the Scottish one on Your Own Story. I really like this lad. He was staying on second over 3 mile 4 last time out, so he knows he stays. He wanted further. It still almost looked like he got outpaced by the winner, which is unbelievable at 3 mile 4. But this step up to 4 mile, I think, is 100% going to suit. He wants every yard, and I think he's an up and coming 7-year-old that could really go close here. I think he's a great bet, to be honest. I think the National Tripper suit. He's only 7. He's off 127. He's only carrying 10 stone 2, so it's a super lightweight. I just think he's got a great chance. He's an improving stay. He's got sort of form in behind horses like Stumptown, who obviously we know ran well at the festival as well, staying handicap chase. And when he's behind Stumptown in second, that was a short trip as well. This massive step up to 4 miles is going to suit this lad down to the ground, and I think he's got a great chance. So my main selection for the Scottish Grand National at 8 to 1 is Your Own Story, Derek Fox, Lucinda Russell. She can do it again. And my other sort of not really a tip really or anything like that, just a mention. But I would give the other Lucinda Russell a chance, a previous winner of this, and that's Mighty Thunder. Now, this horse is obviously 10-year-old. He's been around the block a few times, and his form since he won this 2 years ago has not been very good whatsoever. He won it 2 years ago off a mark of 144, and he's now coming in now off a mark of 128, which is obviously massively lower than when he last won this. And he does have a jockey on taking £5 off now. Those are the sort of horses where you think, look, it could easily be pulled up, no doubt about it. But at the same time, if he's sort of not been too bad this season, he's sort of he's come 7th, 6th, and 5th over sort of 3 mile, 2, 4 mile. Staying on, not fully getting there. So there's a little bit of a spark there. We're thinking, could he just spark himself up for this? Could they just have been priming him for one more tilt at this before they sort of put him away for sort of retirement and things like that? You just don't know. But obviously, the main selection would be Your Own Story for Lucinda Russell. That I won't begrudge anyone sticking £1 each way on good almighty Thunder at around 20 to 1, 25 to 1. And that's what I'm going to do for the Scottish Grand National. So that's air. That's me going on a little bit for sort of 12 minutes about the Scottish Grand National meeting tomorrow and Saturday. The only other racing really that's to mention is there is some nice racing at Newbury. I'm not sort of going to go for the races, but I'll just give a couple of mention. Obviously, my selections just come off, but you've got sort of the likes of the 205 at Newbury, which is obviously a decent race, Group 3, the likes of Bridestones, Magical Sunset. Myself and Joe and Rich, who will be on the Flat podcast a few times, we've been going through the stats and trends, and we've obviously tipped a few on Twitter, and they've been popping up with a few winners. We had Fairy Cross, who went close. Ottoman Fleet, obviously, we had at a good price, 3 to 1, that got smashed in. The Foxes went really close today at Newmarket. So these trends and stats that we're sort of looking into while we go through the flat, obviously I'm mega into the jump, so it's really good for me to learn as well going through these and seeing how the season flows. But they are pulling out some decent chances and some good prices. And I think there's one other one of the Ryan Moore runners today, who I forgot whose name it was, but he won at sort of 9 to 1. That was also in the top 3 of the stats of that race where Creative Force bombed out. I forgot the winner, but you know which one I mean. But yeah, 205, sort of like the Bridestones. I think Magical Sunset was coming out in the top of the trends on that one. So that'll be one I'll give a mention to. One of them two to win in that race potentially. You've also got the only other one I really mentioned. I won't go into much detail, but we'll obviously put some tips out on Twitter throughout the weekend. But obviously Chaldean's out on the 240. He's got obviously a big chance in a couple of the big group ones down the line. Whether he'll win on the opening day of the season for himself is another question. Obviously, it's soft ground. It is going to be raining, so we're not too sure what it's going to be like. I mean, there is one horse who did impress me on the first run out this season, but he does seem to want it as soft as possible. He won his opening run off on heavy, and it was Theory of Everything for Gosden. Robert Avalon on board. If rain does come heavily and it starts to get towards heavy, I give him a really good chance at 12 to 1. And obviously, the only other runner in there that I quite like is Zoology at 16-1. I know that he beat Covey, giving him £7, and we know how impressive Covey was early in the week. So it's one of them we mentioned at evens, and he won out a readily winner. So Zoology probably have a chance in there. But like I say, there's a few good races this weekend and plenty to get into. But like we said today, obviously we put quite a few tips out on Twitter today, and we didn't get any winners. And it's just one of them things. Sometimes they happen. We don't put a lot of money on. We put small points on, and we just try and keep it fun. The best thing to keep racing a long-term thing is just to keep stakes low, keep stakes level. Don't chase any money, because it's not about the money. It's about enjoying the sport, enjoying the races, and getting stuck in, really. So yeah, that's my preview for Scottish Grand National meeting, and a little bit for Newbury at the weekend. But yeah, fingers crossed we can get some winners. We'll tip some up. I'll tip the official tips up. Hopefully you enjoyed listening, and like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe. We will be having a Punchestown Festival preview. We're probably going to do one on Monday, and then another one later in the week for the second half of the week, and then obviously the Sandown jumps finale to finish off the jump season. And then on the week after, a couple of weeks after, it's the Guineas weekend and the big flat kickoff, where there's going to be myself, Joe, and Rich is going to join us for that as well. So that's going to be a belting thing to kick off the flat season, and we'll get stuck into that. So like I say, like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. We're on everything. So follow us, get your sends in the comments. Let us know if you think the videos are decent. If there's anything you think we can improve on, just let us know as well. It's all good crack, and we're really enjoying doing it. So all I can say is have a good bet. Don't go mad. Enjoy the sunshine if you're in it. And good luck with any of your selections. And fingers crossed for the weekend. So, yeah, goodbye. Thank you. And see you next time.